Okay, it looks like we've got Liz D in here. We're going to give it a couple of minutes to let people come in the room. This is an impromptu stream called Tea with Virgo and Roland. We've got a very interesting breaking news type of story to go over with you guys. Say hi to everybody, Roland.
Hello, everybody, Roland. No, I'm always amazed that, you come on here and all of a sudden they're ready to go. And, it's amazing.
That's because I have amazing subscribers and I love you all dearly. Before we go too far here, I want to just say once again, thank you to everyone who was so incredibly supportive and kind while I was out dealing with my medical issues. I am still not totally back to perfection, but we are working on it like I was ever at perfection. Come on.
Oh, come on. The facts matter.
They do. They do. The truth matters too. And the truth is I haven't been at perfection for a very long time, but I am doing much better. And I was supposed to start off slow, but as you guys know, the minute that you plan something, something else comes up to slap you out of that plan. And that's exactly what's happened tonight.
Yeah.
So hello to everybody in the chat. Let's see. You want to go over the people in the chat, Roland?
Well, let me do that. Good thing I went up there and did that one here. As you mentioned before, we got Liz D. Hello. We have Causeless Rebel, Nathan Kish, the Cat Nat.
Yes,
always important.
Cat Nat.
That's right. DEFCON ID 4, Jeff Brown. Let's see here. I want to make sure I get them all. Iowa Hank, Don Clemens. Whip Tech, if you have a whip, you better have a tech to take care of that. Yes. Richard Norris, whom I still owe a song, but he knows how to reach me.
Yes, yes.
Candy Marie, I just want to make sure that he knows that I didn't forget.
No, I think he knows.
Yeah, Pronon 1990. Did I do DEFCON ID 4? If I did, then I did it twice. Hello, twice.
Hello, DEFCON.
There you go. Denise Stringer. Let's see. We have my thing moved a little too quick. Paracord Princess, always welcome here.
Hi, Paracord Princess.
Let's see. Johnny Z62. Don't get it mixed up with 52 like I did. Ms. Funny Feet. Sean Z is in the house.
Oh, yay. Hello, Sean, my friend.
I got to say this. This is weird. I went in my car and I plugged in my phone because I've got Android Auto hooked up in there.
Right.
And I plugged it in and it says, do you want to play, Android Auto? And I did that. The very first song that came out on Android Auto was Half Baked by Sean Z.
Oh my gosh, yes. I remember you said something to me about that.
I was so thrilled. I mean, it was really, really amazing. Oh, Pedro Whack-A-Mole is here. But yeah, Sean, you are definitely getting some Android Auto promotion as well. And
now, we have two Sean Z's, right? We have Sean, that's SHAW, and then a Z, and then we have Sean Zeke, which is the SHAUGHN. All right, I hope I'm saying that right, Sean. I'm sorry if I didn't say your last name.
Yeah, you're talking about is that Zeke or Zeke? I think it's Zeke. I'm thinking of the German pronunciation would be Zeke, but
that if I pronounce it, it's going to be, if I pronounce it one way, it'll be the other way because I'm mispronunciation girl.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think I may have gotten everybody. If I missed anybody, he does say it's Zeke. Okay.
Zeke. So okay. All right.
It's official. In which case, I think if I missed anybody, my apologies. This live chat just goes zoom.
It does. Hi, Simon. Glad to see you. Pronoun 1990. Thank you so much for that super chat. It is greatly appreciated. I cannot describe to you how much right now it's appreciated. So I have brought Roland with me because just in case I happen to get weak and faint, Roland can hold me up, right?
Oh, always, always.
So there you have it.
There you go. Just
Okay.
what you need to be, propped up by a scrawny old man. But
oh, stop. So for those of you that were not over on Chuck's stream when I thanked Power Chord Princess for sending me an amazing photo when I was out on my GoFundMe page, she sent me a photo that with a little sign that said Virgo Triad rocks, which is a play on one of our friend Devon's stupid statements. But I really appreciated it. It really cheered me up. It was the only thing that made me smile that day. So once again, I wanted to thank you for that. All of you have been so incredible to me while I've been out. Made me feel just warm and fuzzy all over. And I'm just so grateful to all of you and so proud to be a part of this community. Roland and I have something very interesting for you guys tonight. Wait a minute. My friend Jeff is saying something here. You know goddamn well Chuck will be here presently. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Don't know. But let's just go over this just for a second. I'm going to be presenting something to you guys in video format. At midnight tonight it drops. It's a scheduled video, which I very rarely do. But because of the content of this video, I wanted a sneak peek to be done. So number one, I could say hello to everyone and tell you guys how much I missed you all. But I also wanted to be able to have a conversation with Roland about what we're seeing in this news broadcast. And I think you guys will understand why I'm concerned about it when you see the footage. Now, this is about 2.5 minutes long, but we're going to play it for you. And then we're going to sit back and discuss it. You guys just give me your first thoughts, if you wouldn't mind, in the chat after watching this video. All right, Roland, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I need to turn these all off. There we go. And add this. Going to make it the only thing on the screen. And let's see if I can get it to do what it's supposed to do here. Here we go.
John Acebus joins us live tonight. John?
The county manager tells us that mail came from a sovereign citizens group. They're known as the Moorish National Federal Republic Government. At home, that may not be a name you're too familiar with, but as far as the sheriff here in Sedgwick County is concerned, he does know who they are. An active scene outside the Sedgwick County Courthouse Monday.
This is more than just a threatening letter. This is a threatening letter that contained a substance that caused people to fear for their lives.
The Sedgwick County Sheriff says a finance employee on the 8th floor of the courthouse opened a piece of mail Monday afternoon. Inside was a white powder found to be a chemical used in hair dye. It was addressed to many, including Sheriff Jeff Easter.
I've had these folks reaching out to me 20 plus years.
He says he is familiar with a group who may be responsible.
It's a Moorish group that doesn't recognize the Constitution of the United States and the state of Kansas or any of our laws.
What he says they did Monday crossed the line. The worker who opened the mail had to go to the hospital because of breathing issues. The hazmat crew even evacuating one of the courthouse's floors.
They notified, at least the commissioners are here, notified us within a matter of seconds. And so I closed my door. I just worked for a few minutes. Now I'm down.
The sheriff now looking to hold the culprit accountable.
If we can determine the elements of it being a terroristic act that it caused fear and those type of things, we've had to shut down services. That's a federal crime.
We also reached out to the FBI. A spokesperson did tell us this is an active investigation. They're aware of what happened here, but can't comment any further on this case. It's also important for you to know, the county manager wants you to know, if you're receiving certified mail, to not open it if you know the name of that group. We have that name, and we've put that on our website at ksn.com. Live from the Sedgwick County Courthouse, John Acebus, KSN News 3.
John, thank you. Just before 6, the sheriff's office and hazmat crew were called to the 1100 block of North Fairview. A sergeant says the USPS asked to have one of their mail trucks inspected. He says the postal worker who drove the vehicle had no symptoms of exposure and nothing was found in the truck.
Okay, you guys, give me your thoughts on that piece of news footage out of Kansas. Was it too echoey? Were you not able to hear it? I can play it again if you guys need to see it again.
There was a little echo in there. I don't know where was that actually part of the original video.
No, the video is not echoey at all. What I can do is have us both mute ourselves and play it one more time.
Yeah, I was muted during that, and I was still hearing it. So I don't know. I don't know why.
It might have been coming from my microphone. So you guys put a 1 in the chat if you want me to replay it.
Yeah. If you can play without the echo on that, I think that'd be great before we go on.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and set this up to play one more time.
Yeah. Wow. We've got 1 1 1 1 1 1. It's unanimous.
Okay.
WhipTech says echo but understandable.
All right, I'm going to go on mute. I'm going to share this. I'm going to go on mute and see if that helps.
And I'm going to mute mine also just for safety's sake.
Okay. Let's go ahead and mute.
John Acebus joins us live tonight. John?
The county manager tells us that mail came from a sovereign citizens group. They're known as the Morris National Federal Republic Government. At home, that may not be a name you're too familiar with, but as far as the sheriff here in Sedgwick County is concerned, he does know who they are. An active scene outside the Sedgwick County Courthouse Monday.
This is more than just a threatening letter. This is a threatening letter that contained a substance that caused people to fear for their lives.
The Sedgwick County Sheriff says a finance employee on the 8th floor of the courthouse opened a piece of mail Monday afternoon. Inside was a white powder found to be a chemical used in hair dye. It was addressed to many, including Sheriff Jeff Easter.
I've had these folks reaching out to me 20 plus years.
He says he is familiar with the group who may be responsible.
It's a Moorish group that doesn't recognize the Constitution of the United States or the state of Kansas or any of our laws.
What he says they did Monday crossed the line. The worker who opened the mail had to go to the hospital because of breathing issues. The hazmat crew even evacuating one of the courthouse's floors.
They notified, at least the commissioners that are here, notified us within a matter of seconds. And so I closed my door. I just worked for a few minutes. Now I'm down.
The sheriff now looking to hold the culprit accountable.
If we can determine the elements of it being a terroristic act, that it caused fear and those type of things, we've had to shut down services. That's a federal crime.
We also reached out to the FBI. A spokesperson did tell us this is an active investigation. They're aware of what happened here, but can't comment any further on this case. It's also important for you to know, the county manager wants you to know, if you're receiving certified mail, to not open it if you know the name of that group. We have that name, and we've put that on our website at ksn.com. Live from the Sedgwick County Courthouse, John Acebus, KSN News 3.
John, thank you. Just before 6, the sheriff's office and hazmat crew were called to the 1100 block of North Fairview. A sergeant says the USPS asked to have one of their mail trucks inspected. He says the postal worker who drove the vehicle had no symptoms of exposure and nothing was found in the truck.
Yeah, thanks for running that again, Virgo. That was a whole lot clearer and everything. That was good.
Well, so here we go, guys. Just like petulant children do, when they don't get attention from screaming, yelling, and throwing temper tantrums, they ramp it up to doing things like breaking the dishes. And what I'm seeing here is very similar to kind of what we were witnessing from the standpoint of rise of the Moors, who were making statements with regards to weapons and this sort of thing and taking over properties. This is getting serious. This is getting very serious. And although the only report that we've heard of this is out of Kansas so far, there is a specific sheriff that has now been chosen as one that they're going to target, which quite rapidly will pump up to judges and lawyers and court clerks and anybody else who happens to stand in their way. Roland, for the last almost 5 years that I've been on YouTube reporting on these SovCit groups, I've been warning people seriously about how much of a danger they are, not only to our democracy, but our very basic rights. They tend to be ones that will do things that will create legislature that will actually take everyone's rights away, not just theirs. So, yes, I consider them a threat, and I'm considering them a bigger threat now than I did before, because once you see one faction go off and start doing things like this, it doesn't take long for other factions to begin to do it. Right. Your thoughts, Roland?
Well, it's gone past words, and when it starts getting into actions, I totally agree with you. If you thought the Patriot Act was a wholesale taking away of rights, and in many respects it is, there's a whole lot more that could be coming down the road that is going to, it's going to, it's as crazy as, well, everyday things that we never had to think about are suddenly becoming suspect.
Right.
It's kind of like the little thing I got trying to get my prescription filled. I mean, it's like, people are trying to be overcautious, and the worst thing you can do is let politicians try to solve a problem in many cases. And sometimes they don't have a choice in the matter, because they don't want to be just caught with their, sitting on their hands while this is going on.
Right. Their constituents begin to get antsy and feel that they potentially need to be doing something. And then it turns into something political, which always ends up being not a good thing.
It's never good. Yeah.
So yeah, let me give you some examples of where the Moors have cost us in the past. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you're very well aware of what a UCC1 is actually used for. Anyone can use it. So for example, if you are just a private party and you lend your cousin $10,000 to buy an automobile, and you are going to have an agreement with that cousin that in the event they don't pay you back the payments on time, that the collateral for that loan is indeed the vehicle they purchased. You file a UCC1 to show that you are the number one lien holder on that vehicle, meaning that if they don't pay you back, you have first dibs at getting that vehicle so you can sell it and recoup your money. That also means that if they go and try to use that vehicle as collateral to someone else, it's on public record that they cannot do that without that person agreeing that they will be the second lien holder on it, which doesn't happen very often. So it's a way of protecting yourself. However, because of the SovCits and all of the crap that they did with the scam for the UCC, now there is new legislature that is attempting to be pushed through in certain states that says that you must have an attorney file that UCC1 for you. Now, none of that has passed as of yet, but this is just an example of how legislature can actually create more expense and take rights away from us. We would no longer, even if we were actively using it for the proper purpose, and even if we have done many of them in the past and full well know the rules and regulations behind that state's UCC codes, we would no longer be able to prepare our own paperwork. We would have to have representation in order for those to be put into the Secretary of State's public filing. So that's an example. Those, if we make a mistake on a UCC, for example, and it turns out to be frivolous, there are already states that have passed legislature over the last 2 years that say that we can be fined and even potentially be charged with criminal activity if we didn't do those UCC statements properly. So rights being taken away due to the kind of garbage that the Sovsits like to put out there for their scams. There's several other instances. If you want to look at the frauditors, for example, there's all kinds of legislature now where we're going to have a much more difficult time filming police officers if they're in the middle of an investigation, which could potentially mean that if they're doing something wrong, we might not be able to catch it on camera and keep them accountable simply because these frauditors have decided to become confrontational, and therefore legislature has been put into the courts for people to be monitored more closely when filming with their cell phones, specifically in the state of Colorado. This has passed already. So there are other states that are working on that legislation right now. These people who misuse, who continuously harass and misuse things will cause all of us to lose rights that we should have. Cost more money for us to get things done, so on and so forth. So,
yeah.
Yes, Pedro, way too much crying wolf. Exactly. Now, I think we all agree, Roland, I think we agree that these people are dangerous, that they do mean to cause harm, that they do not care about their fellow human unless they happen to be obviously within the same group or the same skin tone at least, which is thoroughly disgusting to me. But they clearly don't care that they're taking advantage of things that could cause us to lose our rights. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, one of the things that really concerns me, I mean, I live in Nevada. Nevada is famous for writing bad legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, leaving it to the state assembly to write up something, they're going to leave something out. Now, I understand that, you know, if we were thinking in a rational world, the changes to the UCC laws should involve, you know, using it for fraudulent purposes, fraudulent intent. But all you need is one gung-ho prosecutor out there to just put the screws to you if you happen to make an honest mistake.
Right.
You know, it's scary. And let me go out on a limb here. I worked in a law office where we had to generate our share of UCC ones and stuff, and then also have to do the research into the UCCs that, you know, Sovsits were using to, you know, try to pull their little frauds across, and they never worked. I used to have no problem filling those out because I've had that exposure as a paralegal. Not everybody is going to have that, but there are people who have enough education to be able to read the instructions. And the ones who just figure, oh, I'll just fill this in, yeah, and that's it. Those are going to be the ones that are going to find themselves caught between the cracks there.
Right. I agree.
And so it's not a pretty thing. Like I said, when they write legislation, they're writing it because they want to show how tough they are. But in a lot of cases, what they write is totally ineffective and drags a lot of more. A friend of mine a long time ago said, I have no problem with people, you know, rounding up criminals. I don't want to be caught in the dragnet.
Right. Exactly. So let me address Problem Solver here. Hello, Problem Solver. We've spoken before. I appreciate your comment, but unfortunately, the way this actually works, or it's seen to work anyway, is that if you were born in America, then you're American. And I should also make you aware, which you probably already are, because I know we've kind of had some words back and forth in the past, that not everybody on this channel, as a matter of fact, a great number of us, are actually not European at all. So, you know, it's we could argue back and forth semantics if you want to, but the bottom line is that what the law states currently is that if you were born on in America, then you are considered an American, and therefore that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just the way that it is. Those of us that are Native American are highly insulted at the creation of the revisionist history done by the Moorish groups that are online. And it's despicable. It really is. So, I mean, we could go back and forth forever, but the bottom line is what the law states currently, what society goes by, is that no matter what your relatives back in the 1600s might have been, if you were born here, you are a American. So, but thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Real quickly, let me just say hello to those that I have not had the opportunity to welcome personally into the chat, and thank all of you once again for all of your well wishes and your kind support over the last 2 weeks. I know a lot more of you have come into the room, so thank you once again. Okay, and you guys, those moderators, please, unless something gets out of hand, we want to go ahead and let people like Problem Solver continue to make statements, because there's nothing to fear with any kind of discourse. We just need to make sure that we don't become rude or ugly. So haven't known him to do that at this point. All right. So Roland, I know that for a long time you worked for an attorney, and you did a lot of different transcribing and like you said, filling out of UCC forms and that kind of thing.
Right.
Tell us what it was like. I've always wanted to ask you this question. Tell us what it was like to have to work on SOBSIT documentation.
Oh, it was one of those things that between that and intellectual property law, the attorneys really didn't want to have to do the research. Mm-hmm. So that would be the kind of stuff that would show up on my desk. And the very first one I got was a foreclosure case. And the guy trying to, he did all the classic moves. He'd start off filing a case in justice. We have like justice court, and then there's state district court, and then beyond that would be U.S. district court, bankruptcy court. They'd play the courts against each other. They would start off in the justice court, which is like more of a small claims kind of a thing.
Right, right.
They would file there, and then after when the judges were totally when they finally got up to speed, then they'd file a motion to remove it to district court, and district court would kick it down because it was still active in justice court. So then they'd file for bankruptcy. They'd go to bankruptcy court. And this is one of the things that I always knew they were going to do. Mm-hmm. They'd pay their fee. I don't know what it is now. It's never cheap when you got to file that, but they do the bankruptcy filing fee, and they do a cover sheet. Now they're required to provide quite a bit of documentation, and they wouldn't do it. And they just let it sit. And it took about 6 months. The bankruptcy judge would say they haven't done anything. They haven't attended. They had a meeting of creditors. They didn't show up for that. The judge would dismiss that whole thing. And when a bankruptcy case is dismissed, you've got a year. I believe it's a year before you can file again. So if you have any kind of legal liability, that's the last thing you want to happen to your case. And then they tried going to U.S. District Court. U.S. District Court has their own little requirements. The amount in question has to be more than $75,000. They have to have that court has to have what did they call it? It was there's a jurisdictional question on there, which, like I said, I'm kind of rusty on that now, but if you don't meet that, I think it's multi-state jurisdiction. Okay. And if you didn't have that, they'd be dismissed. So they'd go back to district court and file. And this first one that I got, he went to U.S. District Court and got kicked out after bankruptcy was dismissed. Comes back to district court and starts filing all these goofy things against the guy who bought his house, our law firm, the bank who had financed the house originally, everybody and their brother. And it got to the point where the judge told him, brought him in and said, you are not to file any more motions or other papers in this case without the express written approval of this court.
He listed him as a vexatious litigant. Wow.
Oh yeah. So in this particular case, that was at 10 o'clock in the morning. By 1 o'clock, we received a package from this clown that he didn't file a motion. He drafted his own order. Where he didn't agree with the judge's decision and all the and this is the one that I've mentioned previously, where what he has done is one of the documents he had was a certificate signed by Yahweh himself.
Oh my.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Whether you believe in a supreme being or not, you must come to this conclusion. If this is God who's signing off on this certificate, his handwriting would be so perfect that you would look at it and you would die. I mean, that's basically, how that goes. Well, he had Yahweh sign it. Yahweh's signature looked like the scrawlings of a 70-year-old man with a very shaky hand.
Oh my.
Oh man, I went around the law office showing this. Hey, you want to see God's signature? Just don't promise not to laugh.
Liz wants to know if Yahweh's left or right-handed. Could you tell?
It was hard to tell because it was straight. Normally, depending on how you write, it kind of leans one way or the other. This was like straight down the line.
Straight up and down.
And he couldn't even spell Yahweh right. I mean, which was bad. I mean, supreme typo there. But he got brought back in 3 days later, shows up in front of the judge, and figures he's going to be able to, do his gibberish before her. And she said, look, I warned you about this in the last hearing, that you are not to file anything. You've done this. We had filed, as soon as I got that, I drafted a motion for contempt. And the lawyers went through it, cleaned it, fixed it up a little bit. And, he was found in contempt and sentenced to 30 days in the county lockup, which was not a fun thing. And about a week later, I don't know if it was the DA or who it was, went down there and talked to him to see whether he had changed his mind and that he was going to comply with the court's orders. And he said, yeah, until he got back into the court and started going through his gibberish, another 15 days. And then about, a week after that, he was called back in and he finally decided to play ball. Now, here's the sad part about this whole thing. All of that stuff going on, and this went on for about 2.5 years. So, anybody who says, there's this guy who's claiming that, he's a sovereign and he's got all these rights. And they would say, we want to get him out of there as quick as we can off the property. And I used to laugh. I said, you're looking at about $20,000 in about 3 years. They didn't like what I had to say, but that's how it always ended up turning out. Well,
their whole purpose is to gum up the courtroom and cost the taxpayers money. Yeah.
And what happened in this case, after he decided to play ball and he didn't file anything else, then the money that was raised from the foreclosure sale, if he kept his mouth shut and done nothing, he had about $44,000 in equity in this property. And by Nevada law, if after the mortgage is paid, anything above and beyond that, after court costs and attorney's fees and all that, it goes back to you.
Right.
He could have walked away with a check for $44,000. Instead, he decided to do all this stuff, and it ended up 20,000 went to the people who bought the house, 19,000 went to our law firm for legal fees, and there was a couple of other parties that got a little bit out of it. When it was all finished, he walked out with a check for $900.
Jeez.
And he showed up at the house. He showed up at the law office with his wife to pick this up. And I let somebody else go out there because I didn't want to have to deal with him. I was the one who did the foreclosure sale. I was the auctioneer.
You had done your job.
Yeah, well, he didn't even ask who I was, so I wasn't going to tell him. $900, and he gets that check, and him and his wife leave. And I could imagine that drive back home, where she looks at him and says, "Okay, honey, tell me again why you thought this was such a good idea."
Right.
And so they all went that way. And a lot of times, even if you had somebody who was evicted and then moved back into the house, if you called the police on them, they would show up, they'd look around, they say, "Well, this is a civil matter," and they'd go away.
Right.
One guy was so distraught that he basically he broke, the house had been boarded up, he broke the boards away, walked right in, and when the cops came in to pull him out, they looked in the window and they could see he had a whole armory full of guns on these racks, and he was sitting there brandishing a couple of them. Now, if it were me, they would have called in SWAT, dragged me out, and you'd never heard of me again.
Right.
They just got back in their cars and drove off.
Let me interrupt you real quickly, Roland.
Sure.
I just want to make sure before we pass this by. Thank you, Richard, for the 20. I really appreciate it. I certainly hope you can get with Roland on your song soon because he's wonderful. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Also, you guys, Keeping It Criminal. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. And thank you so much for the kind words also. I've missed you guys terribly. But Catnat, if you don't mind putting up Keeping It Criminal's channel in the chat, if you're not subscribed to him, he's got some great content. Please go over and subscribe to Keeping It Criminal for me. I would consider it a personal favor. And again, thank you so much for that super chat.
Yes, I agree with you. As soon as I found out about Keeping It Criminal, I subscribed immediately, and I've not been disappointed.
Yeah, it's great, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. It's right up the alley of everybody who appreciates mine and Vans and DGens, and I think you'll really, really like it. So, well, that's quite a story there, Roland. And yes, as we know, they never, ever win in court. The few times that I've been able to find cases that SOBSITs were involved in and mores that ever went in a positive direction of any sort were dismissed based on court technicalities or mistakes that were made by officers that didn't show up to court, for example. Never have their arguments ever actually won a court case. And if you find one that tells you that they have, if you ask them for a case number, you won't get it. I've been trying for over 4 years now to get someone to actually give me a case that I can either pull up in Pacer or even on a state site, a district court database or anything. Just give me the case number where you won this based around your arguments. They're never, ever going to give me these case numbers because if they happen to get dismissed, for example, it always ends up being on a technicality, not their specific arguments. And so, it's you would think this is what I don't get. So the basics of insanity, the actual definition of insanity is what, Roland?
It's doing the same thing all over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Exactly. Now, we've been doing the same damn thing over and over again in the SOBSIT world for over 45 years at this point. been doing the same damn thing in the Moors Sovsit world, not the Temple Moors, the online scammer Moors, for well over 30 years at this point, and still no cases have been won. This is the very definition of freaking insanity.
Yeah. And one of the things I must mention, Virgo, in case anybody in the chat hasn't checked this out at all, the last post you did about the hearing for NutraSweet Tajiri Bay,
Yeah.
where she was represented by, a non-lawyer who, tried to talk up a good talk, but it wasn't even that good of a talk, trying to turn everything around. That, the judge mentions, well, this is not how we do things in my court. And he says, no, this is my court. And it's really.
Yes. I mean, the arrogance and narcissism boiling over the Zoom call from this man is just unbelievable. And, and I know a lot of you, let me just make a statement based on that specific video. I know a lot of you were very irritated to hear that the judge seemed like he was sitting back and allowing him to go on. There's a couple of situations in which he might have felt like that was an important thing to do. One of those reasons would be that technically you can have another person represent you in certain circumstances that may not be a bar member. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you cannot arrest someone for contempt of court on a Zoom call. But if he can get him to believe that he can come in and actually do this at the trial, he could arrest him almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So just think about that for a moment. Now, I'm not saying that's his plan. I'm just saying if I were the judge, I might try to think about how to get him into court. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would not want to be him. I mean, the thing about it is, as a paralegal, I was never allowed to argue anything in any court. And I lived in Texas before. I wasn't allowed to do it there. I'm not allowed to do it here, which is fine because I worked for some attorneys who were really good at thinking on their feet. I could not compete with that. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of reading, but I am not on that same level. I would never try to do that. Nobody should have been an attorney. Yeah,
I mean, and in most courts, a lot of courts, you are required to be, a bar member. You are required to, but at the very least, have a law license in order to be in that court and representing anyone. I think what he's going to potentially try to get him on is acting as an attorney outside of his capacity, meaning he is an attorney giving legal advice without a license. But in order to do anything actively, since he only has the name King Abdul blah 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 blah, that's about the best I can pronounce it. He's going into the court, right? So maybe if he makes him believe that he's going to hear his garbage, because let's face it, the guy gets off on trying to abuse the judge. So if he can get him into court thinking he's going to let him hear him out, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think it's be great. And the good thing is with the increases in vaccination rates, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Well, I got the sore arm to prove it.
Yeah. Well, let me just say thank you to Pedro Whack-A-Mole, one of my favorite subscribers. I love you dearly. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. It is very much appreciated. I cannot describe to you what it is like to have an issue where insurance doesn't cover the medication you need to get well, and then they inform you that the medication is an unrealistic amount.
Yeah.
This would be, I think, the fourth time in my life I have gone through a scenario like that, and it is terrifying. And when there's nobody to turn to, it's really scary. I have to say a special thanks to a Marvel Girl, Schrodinger's Cat, Vilified Freedom, and even Degeneration Nation, Chuck Chases the Facts, all of them that were willing to assist when I basically had just completely fallen apart.
Yeah.
I'm not good at asking for help, and they were there to say, tough, we're going to do this, and we're going to get you the help you need. And I am so incredibly grateful to all of them, even though they've all told me if I thank them again, they're going to smack me around. So I'm doing it anyway, as you see, you guys.
That's because the Virgo matters.
Also, I want to say hello to Artie. It's been a long time since I've seen you over on one of my live streams, and I'm sorry that I've missed so many of yours being out. But hello. I am okay, Order of the Squirrel. I am okay. I am just going to take a little bit more time to get myself back going full steam again, but I'm doing much better. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Roland? Because I'm trying
no.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
So my understanding is that very recently Artie from Artie's Corporate Fiction did a pretty good live stream talking about a more, or was it just a sob sit? But anyway, it was just a few days ago, and I really was hoping that everybody had seen that. Thank you, Catnat, for putting up the YouTube channel that Artie is from. If you guys want an actual attorney's opinion on some of these things, and you have not subscribed to Artie's Corporate Fiction, please do so. Please do so. I think you will find him entertaining. He's funny quite frequently, and he's got some incredible cats you can look at too.
Oh, the cats rock. That's all there is to it.
So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to basically hop on here to talk to you guys. I've missed you all. And I also wanted to make sure that everyone knows just how serious this scenario is when this video drops at midnight. Now, I've gone in after the video and I've read the entire article and linked it in the description for you so that you can read it for yourself if you want to, or you can listen to me read it online on the video. It is a little bone chilling, I have to say. It reminds me of some of the anthrax threats that went on back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I just think that if we are going to be going in that direction, you know, to heck with the comments that Pauline makes about, yeah, we're going to start gun grabbing or whatever. To heck with those comments, or even Jamal's statements of we're going to be taking over your property. Those are mild in comparison to these type of actions. And if we're seeing things like inhalant powders go through the mail system, how long will it be before we see other activities that are scary and nefarious like that?
Yeah, there's no excuse for that kind of behavior, but you know, everybody in the chat and you and I know that, you know, already. Right.
Yeah, you guys, I can't tell you how often I sit back and I think, did I not say it enough? Did I not do enough to try to show everyone in a subtle enough way that it didn't appear that I was peddling some kind of fear porn, but also enough of a nudge to make sure that you guys were able to see that these people are dangerous individuals. These are nothing to joke about. I mean, they're funny when you watch them get pulled over to the side of the road and read their scripts off to a police officer. But there are people that head up these factions that are much more scary and do really terrible things. So I sometimes will sit back and say, did I not do enough? You know, have I not been on enough platforms? I mean, I feel like I've been screaming at the world for 5 years, and now we're seeing these things come out. of these different factions. And it's like you watch the FBI go, oh, wait, hey, this ain't okay. Well, I've been telling you for 5 years. That's what I feel like.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I've seen my share of videos, and I'm sure a lot in the chat have done this as well, where somebody gets pulled over and they don't go to the sob sit thing. They just go straight for the guns.
Yeah.
I mean, there've been state troopers who have been, shot on the side of the road and just left for dead.
It's terrible.
I mean, that's that. There's no excuse for that. I mean, for a traffic violation, I know, if you're smuggling a whole bunch of stuff that you're not supposed to, I can understand where, you might be a little antsy, but, if that's the case, well, if you can't talk up a good talk, then, hey, you did what you can, but don't be whipping out the firearms.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. I mean, I know that they considered it, isolated and very small percentages, but it's something that's occurring more and more. And you find that these people are connected in really strange ways. You guys are not probably aware of this. I did a video back, I think about 3 years ago. There's an actual online database of sob sits so that they can keep track of where each other is.
Wow.
Scary. The majority of this information I received from an ex-sob sit.
Yeah.
So it's no joke, and it's really something we need to pay very close attention to, because now, as you've seen, there are many that have found their way into public office, and we need to be watching that. We don't want we don't want our nation going that direction. We really don't. Trust me. Let me just say also, Ryan, thank you so much for bringing this up. Natalie Lawyer Chick, she was incredible while I was out. We've only spoken to each other by email once. I know she's watched my channel, and as I have also watched hers, but we have not been able to link up together to actually really talk to one another or collaborate on anything. But I would like to shout out her channel also. She was very kind to me and shouted out my GoFundMe when I was struggling. So please, Catnat, if you can put up Natalie Lawyer Chick's channel, I would really appreciate it. Also, a prosecuting attorney, also has a great insight on these groups and people. And I think you will find her not only entertaining, but she's also, as a plus, very beautiful. Let's see. What else you got to say, Roland?
Oh, it's been an actual, it's been kind of a non-eventful day here at the Rolando Ranch.
The Rolando Ranch has been non-eventful, huh?
Well, what we did is we went and set up the PA system for Easter Sunday. We're going to have our singers up there doing our Easter service as always.
Oh, okay.
Which we didn't get a chance to do last year because of that thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was really weird to be behind the soundboard and testing stuff out. And, Carrie and Frank came over and, they helped get the microphones placed and plugged everything back in so it would all work on Sunday morning, because that's not a good time to be sitting there and said, I know that cable goes here somewhere.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Yes, a defense attorney. I apologize.
Yeah.
Natalie Lawyer Chick's a defense attorney, not a prosecuting attorney. Sorry.
Yeah, but she's good at what she does, and I've enjoyed her channel as well. And one day I'll get on one of her little streams and stuff. But she's doing well without me, so that's fine. But yeah, it's
does well without you, Roland. We have to have our Roland.
Yeah, well, in this particular instance, it's a little different than my normal goofball mode. The tea time is a totally different environment. I'm trying, I can think of all kinds of funny stuff, and I just have to suppress that because,
Well, you can still be funny. We know you're a funny man. It's just that, we seem to have a different kind of chemistry together where we do well talking about these types of subjects in a more serious manner. You guys give me an idea. What do you think of T with Virgo and Roland, or with Roland and Virgo? I think I put them backwards this time, but
oh, it doesn't matter who gets first billing. I mean, I'm just happy to be there.
tell me whether give us a 1 if you think we should continue on, and just don't respond at all if you think that we just really suck.
I like that. That's a twist on democracy, but I'll take it.
So everybody seems to so far really appreciate the fact that we are keeping things a little bit more serious on this particular podcast. But hey, well, it's not a podcast. Our little
our live stream thing.
Yeah, our little live stream thing. I'm thinking that it's probably a good idea for us to do this once or twice a month, like we were talking about, especially when breaking news like this comes up.
Oh, answering Pedro's comment, yes, coffee is also acceptable.
Oh my gosh!
Should we call this coffee talk? Coffee talk with Virgo and Roland?
It serves two purposes: the statement of what's the tea, which is what's going on, what's the breaking news type of thing, and then tea as in TEA. So I figured that's why we would call it tea with Roland.
Oh, I had the wrong tea. Never mind, I'll put that away.
Not the THC, right? So Jeff says, so who's going to serve Chuck the divorce papers? Let me just say this, Jeff. I know you're just being funny, but just because I have a collaboration with Roland, or just because I have a collaboration with Joe Palmetto or Natalie Lawyer Chick or Schrodinger's Cat or Marvel Girl, does not discount anything having to do with Chuck. That just isn't the way life works on YouTube. So let's give it a rest and not worry about. Let's not get anybody's feathers ruffled, because that's certainly not what this is about. It's just something we the Virgo and Viagra show. Really, Jeff?
I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that one.
I can't believe he just called me a hussy.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Well,
besides you, I don't think there's anybody besides you, maybe Marvel, a couple other people maybe, that loves me more than Jeff. Jeff could never call me a hussy if he didn't love me.
We kid because we love.
But the Virgo and Viagra show, up all night, Dawn says.
Oh no. Oh no.
See, we got some jokers in here. Literally jokers.
Yeah, that's why there should only be 52 cards in a deck.
See, what did I tell you? Jeff loves me. I love him too. He's one, and there aren't very many, as you know, Roland. Yeah. He's one of the men that are subscribed to my channel that can every once in a while pick on me. There are not many.
There you go.
They just don't get away with it.
Yeah. You have to build. You have to have that build that relationship in order to get to that level, though. It's
That's right.
I can just show up on somebody's channel and just start, just ragging all over them. I mean,
that's right. Jeff's DEFCON says Jeff needs a timeout.
Make him think about what he's done. What did he do?
He doesn't know. He knows not what he does.
Yeah, get my back here.
So, if you guys, I'm just going to put this out there. Hi, Irish Dublin girl. If you guys happen to have a more of a topic that is on the serious side that you would like for the next Tea with Roland and Virgo to talk about, please send it to me, virgotriad@protonmail.com. and we proton mail, at protonmail.com. We will definitely take a gander at it and see what we can find out and discuss it. Let's see what else we got going on here.
Wow, we covered a lot.
Does Order of the Squirrel come with fries and a medium drink?
Only in a medium order.
Order of the Squirrel, where are you? Where are you? Are you? Is it Carl? Is that you, Carl? Are you the one buzzing me, Carl? No. So is that Carl, or is it who else is Order of the Squirrel? Kenny Klein, right? Huh.
I have not heard that before, but
well, that's what is on his backdrop, the squirrel.
Okay. Squirrel Lives Matter. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Squirrel Lives Matter. So, okay, it's Carl. I thought it was Carl. No, Carl does not come with fries. You cannot eat my Carl. As much as I, have the extra weight of carrying him around on my shoulder, I love the guy. So leave Carl be. Let's see what else we got here.
Maybe they're thinking of Carl's Jr.
Yeah, Carl's Jr. Now you can go there and order up.
Squirrel.
Ryan says, I've been married for 29 years. I still can't call her any names. Jeff would never call me anything past hussy. And he and part of that is funny to me because the groups, the Sovsit groups that are the Christian right Sovsits, they like to call me Jezebel. And at one point, everybody that was subscribed to me for about 2 weeks while this person was going on his religious rant of what a terrible person and Jezebel I was and everything else, called me Jezzy. So
yeah, well, maybe maybe there's a song in there, I wish that I was Jezzy's girl.
Oh, maybe so. And yes, it is a matter of context, Jeff says. That's true.
Yeah.
So let's see, Binary. I hope you're doing well. I know you're still in the hospital. Please take care and stay safe. We love you, and thank you so much for showing up to the stream. I know it was impromptu, so it's not as easy as when you've got it scheduled. Let's see. So, what were we gonna try this again in a couple of weeks or next Friday maybe or something like that, Roland?
Whenever you're ready to do it, I will be here.
Okay. Well, we've been on for about an hour. I think I'm starting to wear down a little bit, so probably should get my rear end to a nap and maybe some medication.
There you go.
Here, I am doing better, and I will be back on a regular basis. I just won't be posting quite as much as normal. But check out that video that's going to drop at midnight tonight, sometime tomorrow, because the entire article I go through after the video that we just watched. And Tom, thank you so much for that $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. That judge could have issued a bench warrant for that moron. Okay, Tom, so you know that 3 bench warrants were issued $5,000 a piece for Pauline, right? If you don't know it, they were issued. With regards to the idiot that was there pretending to be her attorney, he was on a Zoom call. So I believe that what the judge is actually doing is, since he cannot arrest someone for contempt through a Zoom call, if he can get him to come in during the trial, because he thinks that the judge is going to give him the time of day, the minute that one of those threats pops out of his mouth, he can then arrest him for contempt, which he cannot do on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So, but just so that you know, in case you didn't get to watch it all, $15,000 in bench warrants is what's out on Pauline right now.
Yeah, that didn't go good for her.
Yeah, no, it didn't. So I want to thank you so much, Roland, for being willing to do this at the last moment with me, because I just would not have been as well. I just wouldn't have done as well without you here. Plus, I think we got a good thing going with tea with Roland and Virgo.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
And thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the super chats. I love you all. I love this community to death. I will absolutely be posting as often as I can. Probably not every single day, but I will be posting as often as I can. Let's see. Problem solver. I will be addressing you, Virgo Triad. Okay, I will be here. You have a good evening. And talk to y'all soon. Say bye, Roland.
Bye, Roland.
Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye.